Almighty God, we acknowledge our dependence upon Thee, and we beg Thy blessings upon us, our parents, our teachers, and our country. From the studios of the RamCave, in the home of the Camellias and Outsiders Camps, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is the Burbank Faith Virtual Good Morning for July the 11th, 2025. As always, we are praying for our young people. Today, we're going to launch out of 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. This is episode number 463 of a ministry without parole. All right, happy to be here. There's some background noise because I got my air conditioning going. I got a fan on. It's hot. I hate the heat. And so we'll just put up a little bit of that background noise. This is Q&A Friday. So if you have any questions, I'm willing to hang out a little bit longer today. We had a pretty long one about a week ago, and it was good. So if you have any questions, anything about anything, Bible, culture, into the world, UFOs, demons, we've had discussions on all those things. But for my part, hey Sean, thank you for clicking on. Great to have you with us, Sean. But for my part, I'm going to read 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. And then share a couple of thoughts, and I'll answer yours as you go. If you have any camp questions, that's the one we really want to answer too. So, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. Therefore we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And so there's really an unspoken scripture that probably fits the outsiders best. Is what we do is unseen in the sense that we are not going to have an opportunity probably in our lifetimes or whenever or in the immediate future to reap the harvest. You know what I'm saying? To see the fruit, right? There's not going to be probably that moment, oh, that camp was so great or something. It's going to be what these young people do in 30, 40, 50 years when some of us are not around anymore. So what we do is we labor for the unseen. We labor for the eternal because we know God sees it. And that keeps us in check. It keeps egos in check, right? So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And that always, of course, helps us keep our focus. All right. Sorry I didn't get on earlier, but problems beyond my control. It was not my computer. It was not my server. It was the platform's issues. And but I am here now. And so Sean's with us. Anyone else that wants to join in with a question or anything, throw it at me. It'll be fun to talk about camp. All right. So I got about 7 things that people sometimes ask about camp and what are my thoughts about camp. I thought I'd share them, things I haven't really shared before. The first one was, number one, how was CIT camp? Went great, Sean. It went really well. It was fantastic. But the first one was, camps used to run Monday noon till Saturday morning breakfast. This means your staff, the bulk of your staff, my whole time coming through camps as a younger man, my formative years were you left for camp Sunday after church and you had your staff meeting that Sunday night. All the way through, it's what you did. And then the students would get there by lunchtime. You'd have breakfast as a staff, and then you'd break off into your different assignments. I was usually a games guy, so I'm getting material together. At Idlewild, they used to have this thing called the coffin that was underneath the stage. I'd pull out the coffin, and it was the residue, literally the residue, the leftovers, the broken, the smashed, the flat stuff that was left over from camps years and sometimes decades before. Honestly, I think there was a mitten there that Ty Cobb played with. And we'd have to get all that stuff ready. And then the students would start rolling in mid-morning and be there at lunchtime. And that's ran all the way through breakfast on Saturday. So 4.5 full days, pretty much, that you had with these students. And so camp was you left on Sunday, you came back Saturday afternoon, you were gone literally an entire week. And of course, in those days, there were no cell phones. We couldn't get our hands on a newspaper. I think I tried bringing a transistor radio once just to pick up some sports talk at night and couldn't pick it up. So you were really isolated, and that kind of venue made for great camps, right? World changes, but that's how it used to be. And then sometimes we would do those camps back to back, that you would do junior high camp literally Sunday night through Saturday afternoon by the time you got home. And then you'd wash your clothes, sleep, sometimes get sick, puke, all the stuff you couldn't do at camp. Get a great dinner, go to church the next day, and then load back up and take your senior high up to camp. And we would call those back to back. Now, a lot of guys hated them. I liked them because it blocked out 2 weeks. We knew it was all taken care of. Camps were before and camps were after. We'd have different directors and such, but many of us ran the same camps. My friend Mark Valadez, who pops in here every once in a while, he used to run junior high camp. I used to run senior high camp. And although we didn't do it back to back when we were running them. So anyway, number two, the one thing I do miss about those days, and this is going to sound weird when I say it, is in those days we were able to use what we call a soft discipline to work with kids that were having trouble buying in. Kids get to camp, they're upset, they're depressed, they don't want to be there, or they just, it's their first time away from home, and it's like, man, I don't have to listen to anybody. I'm just going to have a great time. And we've had first day camps where doors have been taken off of hinges, sneakers shoved down a toilet and flushed and blocked up. We've had all kinds of stuff happen on the first 2 days of camp. But in those days, when we had literally from Monday at noon till Saturday breakfast, we had time to work with the students that were struggling, and we could do a soft discipline. Oh, you're going to act up? Okay. You guys are going to clean the rec hall, pick up trash, or you're going to stick around on my activity field and you're going to carry my equipment back. And we would do those things. We also had things like dead bug, where we'd make them get flat on their back for about 30 seconds, put their arms and legs in the air, and then we would speak to them on why they're getting dead bug. And the kids would do it. We'd say, go hug that tree. Not for any environmental reason, just go put your arms around the tree for a while. Sometimes we just have them walk pine cones, just in a concentric circle, pretty tight, and speak to them as to why we're making them do this. But in the midst of all those things, which now would probably invoke a lawsuit, this allowed us to build a rapport with the student, who the student couldn't get a rapport with earlier, his counselor or somebody else, and everything. They couldn't get a rapport going with them. They got a rapport going with us security guys because we were the ones spending the most time with them, and eventually they got integrated into camp, and it was great. It was a little bit more work, but you always allowed for it because you knew it's what was going to come. But now with shorter weeks where they don't arrive until Friday. They don't arrive until Monday at dinner time, and then they leave after breakfast on Friday. With the shorter week, you don't have time to do anything. And now we're kind of, because of the law and litigiousness and everything, you have a shorter week and you're in a zero tolerance mode, right? Which means you don't have time to work with the kid. And then you can't really work with the kid. You can't use that soft discipline. You can't make them do that. Any cleanup or dead bug or anything to kind of build that rapport with them. And they all have cell phones now. And when they're upset at camp now, they'll just call home. And then we'll get the call on why they called home. And so now it's just zero tolerance. It's a phone call to the parents to pick up your kid, take it up. It's not working. We're not going to work. We can't work with them anymore. So the longer camp and the more isolated the camp was, we had a better opportunity to have an influence on the young person. From what I understand, Sean, everybody loved the CPR classes. They did. They very much. Number three, besides the God moments that I really like at camp, of course we all do, right? That's what we do them for. beside the God moments, what sticks with me are the faces on a student or a camper or kid when they are publicly affirmed or validated, right? It's the wise counselor and camp leader that should be able to spot the kid that is likely on the outside looking in during the school year, but then we have an opportunity to build them up at camp, right? Hence the word outsiders, right? And some of the students, you can have such an influence on them by just allowing them to be the feature once or twice, right? Some of my most locked in memories are the expressions on some student when they found out they were the mystery camper for the week, or for the day, and they just have that special feeling. You just see it on their face, right? Or when you give them an affirming nickname, right? Jonathan Tiger Lee, right? Joey Stonewall Rosencrantz, right? And then to have by the end of the week, everybody is calling them by their nickname, right? And they've never been the cool kid, they've never been the accepted kid, and that's some of the small subtle beauties that happen at camp. We can't plan them, we can't coordinate them, we can't schedule them, but these are also God moments where experienced camp workers, wise camp workers, talented camp workers, dedicated camp workers will see an opportunity within the program. Hey, let's just lift that kid up. I'll never forget, was it in 92, we were running junior high camp during the Olympics. And, we wanted to light the Olympic flames, so to speak, and use it to emulate the start of camp. So on Monday night, the kids got there, of course, midday, and then on Monday night, we set up the campfire to where one of the guys was going to play on the keyboard the Olympic theme, the da 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 da. So the worship team did an opening number, and the campfire wasn't lit at that point. And we took this kid that was definitely an outsider type. He was not the cool kid, bit heavy set, and we put him up at the top of the fire bowl. And I remember the director, Rob, looking at me like, Joe, we got to be careful on this. And we lit his torch, right? And he came down the center aisle. There's 175 of his peers and counselors and everyone all around him. And the Olympic movement theme is playing, and he's getting to come down the center aisle as the torchbearer, and everyone's just applauding and applauding and applauding. And I had told him, I said, go down there and make sure you turn and face everybody and wait, count to 3 before you throw it into the fire pit. And he held it up and he just waved it like this, and then at 3 he just fired it in and it blew up, and we had a lot of stuff in there. It got kind of high, but it was this great moment, and it made that kid's week. It made his week, because we didn't take the cool kid, we didn't take the surfer kid, we didn't take the rich kid, we didn't take the popular kid. And it was just this moment to build into camp. It wasn't in the schedule. It was something that came about during the camp, and we spotted it, and it worked. Number 4 that I always like to share with people are camp leaders are as eager as parents to avoid risk, right? I understand the reputation of camp workers from movies, and of course the stereotypical reputation of a youth pastor, which really aren't true anymore, is that they are goofy risk takers. Some, maybe some, maybe back in the day there were more, but they are a rare breed these days. They should be a rare breed, right? And they won't be found at outsiders camps once we learn who they are, right? We've avoided at outsiders camps a lot of risky, health-threatening moments, and our secret to avoiding risky health-threatening moments, our secret to avoiding all those things is that we schedule to avoid risky, health-threatening activities and attitudes. And so we're always trying to think, okay, we do this, what happens? We were at Granite Ridge, and we would go out and film there. A ton of ground squirrels there. So we're trying to project what happens if we're on the field. Kid puts his foot in a hole, snaps his ankle, sprains his ankle really bad, his whole week is ruined. Not let alone hospital trip and possible, you're dealing with all the insurances. So our thing was is that before they went on the field, last year, I remember last year, it's 100 degrees outside, and the executive staff is out there filling dirt into all these ground squirrel holes, and we went and did it throughout the week just to make sure no one would get hurt. So we avoid risky health-threatening moments by avoiding risky health-threatening moments, okay? Number 5, I think one of the earmarks of those who work camps and are lifers that understand camp, we don't care how far we have to drive, right? I served over 10 years on the Granite Ridge Board. That's 250 miles from my house just to get there. That's 250 miles to come home. I added it up. Since 2014, I've driven more than 30,000 miles going to and from camp. Sometimes you think, I wish it was a little closer, but other times you think, no, this is perfect, is that we're away from home. As a leader, the farther away camp was when I was a youth pastor, the more time you had with your students, which means, hey, we got to be there by Monday afternoon, and this place is far away, so hey, we got to leave with everybody Sunday right after church, sometimes a little bit earlier, because there were times we were going up to Oakhurst near Yosemite, and these were long drives, but you love those long drives. It gave you more time with your students. It gave you more time to talk. Now, of course, we also didn't have these in those days, where everyone could just tune out, put their headphones on. It was literally conversation after conversation after conversation, and those were the memories built. And as the youth pastor driving, yeah, I had my ear tuned in to what was going on in the back of my van. Camp starts the second you leave the parking lot of the church. A true camps person, lifer, knows this and is not afraid of it. It's something to embrace. It's something to go, yeah. And it's something that a true camps person, lifer, needs to sell and convince their church of, that, you know what, I might live in Atascadero, but they run the greatest camps there in Idlewild. And you know how I know? Because there were people who lived in Atascadero that came to our camps in Idlewild back in the day. And there was no complaints, because I think those were camp people who understood that camp begins, the experience of camp for your student begins the second you leave the parking lot. Number 6, another one here, number 6 is, you're never too old to work camps. Never too old to work camps. We've had people pushing 70 and even older working as counselor, and some of them are the best we've ever had, and we still try to coax them out, right? We try to get them to come out and give us some clicks, give us some hours as a counselor. Physically, for everybody, that might not be the case. But from finances to prayer to volunteering during different times, you could still make differences. You can come up and volunteer during registration. You can volunteer your time if you're a first aid person. You can volunteer your time, helping clean up after a meal. You can volunteer your time in so many ways and still be connected to camps and still have an effect on influencing lives. I think one of the things, as we were prepping Outsiders, we were seeing people in their 60s, and I said, how old is this woman? And I asked Shay, and Shay was telling me, and I said, this woman is in her early 60s, and she's still serving as a cabin counselor? I mean, that's passion. That's passion, and that's the kind of people you want to keep around. And it wasn't like she was bitterly serving, right? She was serving because that's what she was. And so, kind of a beautiful thing. Finally, number 7, this one's a little selfish on my part. I don't think it's selfish, actually. I'm going to be straight up on this. If you want to truly immerse yourself and find out what a true camp experience was like back in the day, I recommend that you read my book, Dead Bug Tales. Right now, I know it looks a little thick. It looks a little long. It looks like something that, oh my gosh, that's just too long to read. But it is short paragraphs. It's airy. it blows by really fast. And I can't encourage you enough. It really talks about the camp setting of the early 90s and what it's like to serve a week at camp, a full week at camp. And I dropped that into the box there. I'd encourage you to get that. Hopefully by next year I'll have that out in audio as well. But please check that out. That would really give you an idea of the camp experience, largely from leadership's position, but also from the students as well. Think of it this way, right? Think of Meatballs meeting Christian camp. That's what it was shared with me once. That's what it's like. It's like Meatballs meeting Christian camp. And I've gotten some great reviews on it. And the funny thing is, who's giving me the great reviews? The great reviews are people who've actually worked camp and known camp and been to camp. And you could read the reviews on there on Amazon. So I put the link in there. I also dropped in there our Sign Up Genius for signing up for camp, camp prayer. We really need coverage in the prayer business right now. That is our largest, that's one of our biggest focuses right now. Is we have 360 slots to cover in prayer. We need your help. So if you can help us with that, we would be very, very grateful. How's my friend Bill Leone? Bill Leone wrote a book about him and his wife, and he went through an agency that said, "Hey man, make sure you sell your book with signatures." I personally don't think anyone cares about my autograph, but if you buy my book and bring it to camp when you're dropping off your student, I'll actually sign it for you, right? And that'll get you like not even 50 cents in a cup of coffee, all right? But we're just trying to build up camp awareness, what we do at camp. I think that book hits it. Also, just build up our prayer coverage. Please consider joining us. I understand. I got on at a weird time. I understand people are busy. We haven't had a lot of interaction today, but thank you to Sean for joining us. And we do appreciate that. And everyone else who has been with us or could be with us later, please hit like, please hit share. If you haven't started following us on Burbank Faith Virtual on YouTube, please do. And yeah, I hung around. I went slow. Shay's going to give me a hard time. But just when we caught everybody today, I guess it just wasn't a great time for a live show. But we got a lot of stuff out, so we did good. Outsiders Camps, be in prayer. God bless. Take care. Talk to you soon.